Welcome to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'm Richard Dugan, your host. Thank you so much for joining us here on the program. As we tell you each week about when we're on and where you can find the programs and all of the podcasts and the YouTube videos. I'm going to tell you that a little bit later. I'm going to jump right into our program today because I think you're going to enjoy a revisit of our program by our very special guest who has been with us before, Yoichi, and it's Utebi, Yoichi Utebi. I want to thank you so much. I practice and I practice and I practice, Yoichi, and there are days when it just flows right off the tongue. Mm-hmm. And I remember one of the swamis here in Santa Barbara who is at a monastery, and I practiced his name, and I got it right the first time. Yoichi Utebi, I want to thank you so much for being with us here on the program. It's great to be with you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me back again.
And we have another film to talk about. It looks like Happy Science is just, what is it? It's like a new movie studio that just keeps pumping out the movies. Yes. But they're very focused on different aspects of the Happy Science. Of course, on the founder, Master Okawa. And it's very interesting. So what I like to do, of course, because sometimes this is the first time anybody's ever heard this program talking about the Happy Science, in spite of the fact that we have a number of programs over the years talking about it. Let's start talking about the Happy Science. Then we'll get into the movie that we're going to talk about, Twice Born. First of all, what is meant by Happy Science? What is that? Is it a religion? Is it a philosophy? Is it a true science that's backed by scientific evidence?
Yeah.
How do we first look at it?
Well, it's beyond religion. It's when you say religion, it has the idea of, you have to be in a certain group. Like, are you Christian or Muslim? Are you Buddhism? Those are the things people would ask. So I guess we are religion because we believe in God, and we talk about a lot of spirituality, right? But at the same time, we are not in a specific. So it's like our philosophy has a lot of Christianity way of thinking, about love and how important it is to not to take from others, but to give love. It's a basic idea of how, us as humans should live every day. But also there's the importance of our aspect of like Buddhism side, where it's more like an Eastern philosophy. It's important also at the same time, you need to look into yourself, not just outward, but also look into yourself and self-reflect on yourself and cultivate your soul, because it's a soul training ground is where we are living here today. So those are the kind of, it's a little more like a Buddhism way of the idea that's important. Also, we have put a lot of emphasis into prosperity, because we're living here on this three-dimensional world. So happiness within yourself, okay, and the happiness of giving love to others, at the end of the day, it should manifest to become a reality of happiness of you living here, outside. So that's called prosperity and progress. So there's different aspects of philosophy and teachings and religious aspects, like integrated into Happy Science teachings.
I know that the aspect of Happy Science, in as much as we take a look at some of the, we'll call them the more traditional philosophies, as you mentioned, the Muslim faith, Christianity, Judaism, and so forth. How old is the Happy Science in this, at least in terms of its founding by Master Okawa? But my guess is, Yoichi, it's timeless.
It's timeless. I mean, Master Okawa founded Happy Science in 1986. So it's a little over 30 years, 34 years by now, I guess. So yeah, but the teachings that he teaches or he brings down from spirits in the heavenly world is timeless, because it's beyond time. So the teaching itself, he started talking about it about 34 years ago. But what he
Right.
talks about is pretty universal in a way. You put it that way.
Yeah. Does it seem to you that the happy science is maybe part of our evolutionary process when it comes to spirituality and the
Mm.
philosophies that we live by?
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, these things, the teachings that the Master Oka teaches, has been taught in the past. If you really think about it, about the love and about how what Buddha taught about, and also the spirituality. What happens after we die, where we come from, or the spiritual world. There's other world that exist. This is not the only world we're living. All these things has been already talked about by somebody in the past, right?
Hmm.
And we heard about it. So it's really nothing new if you really think about it. Reincarnation, it's either you believe it or you don't believe it, right?
Right.
I mean, of course, I believe it. I always believed in reincarnation, but some people don't. And
Hmm.
that's how people, think in different ways. So that's okay. But it kind of goes beyond that. It kind of integrates all these teachings that has been taught in the past and integrate it so we can progress further into the future. So that's why the wisdom or the knowledge about the spiritual truth is very important, because by knowing what's out there in reality, that kind of gives you wisdom to move forward. So I guess it is part of evolution process,
Yeah.
like you just said. Yeah.
Now, I know that the philosophies of the past, if you will, had to put the shoe leather to the ground to let other people know about this philosophy or that philosophy and so forth. But here we are in the 21st century,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't really need to do that. So, what is the process, if this is even part of the process? What is the process of sharing this? Or I know that there's one word that has a lot of negative baggage to it, and it's called proselytizing. You don't, happy science members, if that's the correct term,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good.
okay, they don't go out and knock on doors or go out into shopping malls or parking lots and try to share this wonderful story with people, do they? What is the
We do. Yeah,
just
definitely.
okay, all right.
Yeah, like for example, this movie, this
Mm-hmm.
Firstborn, or all the different movies that we come up with. So I mean, we do a limited release in United
Mm-hmm.
States, but
Sure.
like let's say we just finished one in Orange County because we couldn't open in Los Angeles, or
Mm-hmm.
we opened in New Jersey because we could not open in New York City. We try to come closer to the central cities. But when they do that, the members, there's few members, not a big numbers, they'll go out there on the streets and give out flyers and invite the people to the movie. So yeah, and give out handbooks, hand out some books that free books from
Mm-hmm.
Master Yuho Oka's teaching. And so we do those kind of activities. I mean, we don't actually go knock on doors because you can't really knock on doors in US, right? Yeah, it's trespassing. So, but in Japan, there's a lot of activities that goes on where we do a lot of flyer handouts and things
Okay.
like that.
So there is obviously, under normal circumstances, there is this community aspect to it, one to
Definitely,
one, if
yes.
you will.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
what is, if I may ask, what is the goal of that type of, and if I may use the term, since I can't think of anything else other than sharing, what is the goal behind sharing this story with people on a one-on-one basis? Is it to quote unquote convert people?
Oh, I mean, convert means you can take it positively and negatively, right?
Okay.
It's not about like where if you're a Muslim, you have to become, when you are born Muslim, you can't convert to other religion, or sometimes that some strict Catholic people might say that, but we have freedom of will and freedom of religion and the freedom of speech. That's us, right? In democratic world that we're living
Mm-hmm.
in. We're not living in China or North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
So we have freedom of religion. So we will try to, of course, share what's the great thing about happy science, and how much how how much better life do you be able to live by learning,
Mm-hmm.
Master Oka's teachings. But that doesn't mean you have to abandon all the religion, the faith you have in Jesus, or the faith you have in Allah. It's nothing like that at all. But like I was raised as a very very faithful Christian family. My parents are Protestant. Even though I'm Japanese, it's kind of rare for me to be Christian as Japanese.
Yeah.
So I was raised as Christian, and I met Happy Science when I was in early 20s. And since then, I've been reading a lot of his books, but that doesn't mean I don't believe in Jesus. I still love Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody will tell me, no, you can't believe in Christianity. It's not like that at all. We are transparent and open.
Yeah. What is the predominant religion in Japan in particular? Is it Shinto? Is that right?
Shinto is religion, but it's more like a part of culture at this point. So we don't have oh, yes, I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus. It's not like I believe in Shintoism and I believe in there's a God is called Amaterasu or Mikami. But we don't do that in Shintoism. But it's more like you go to a shrine every January 1st, do the prayer thing and pray for the health and the wealth for the year. And that's about it. Other than that, we don't usually practice Shintoism. Yeah. So I guess Buddhism is probably the biggest. Okay. If you want to put it, which one is the most popular religion as people practice? Would probably be Buddhism.
So as far as Happy Science is concerned, are there structures where people congregate, gather together for meetings of some sort, as Christians do in churches for services, or Catholics for mass, or for example, I know there are mosques throughout this country. Sure. And then you mentioned January 1st as far as Shintoism with Muslims. I guess it's once in your lifetime you're supposed to make the pilgrimage to Mecca.
That's right.
And so forth. And so is there anything like any of those attributes within the Happy Science?
Yeah, definitely. Locations are very important. Without having those tangible places for people to gather, you can really establish organizations. So we have about maybe over 500 or maybe 600 small, we call branches or small churches. I don't know how best to put it, but making just a church. People will be able to imagine easier. So we have branches above over 500 locations in Japan. And we have this, it's called main temple. There's about 25 main temples throughout Japan. Those are the big ones, people gather, thousands can gather. And there's small, like local branches. And there's about 10 branches in US. There's no head temple in US, but there's about 10 branches in US now. So yes, we do have places people can gather. So they do services. We like in Japan, we don't do like Sunday services like Christians, style. But in US, a lot of Happy Science locations would hold a service on Sundays because people kind of used to, on the weekends, people go to church and they look into themselves and they kind of remind themselves to connect to the God and the spirits and energy. So a lot of locations do have we call them Sunday services in US. Yeah, keep it in similar trend, I guess, so people can easily access Happy Science.
Are there any holy places, if that's the right word to use in the context of Happy Science, that are spoken about by Master Okawa in regards to the Happy Science, places that people would want to go to in that regard because it's considered a holy place?
Right. Sure. So there's the place in Shikoku. Shikoku Prefecture is like a little bit southern part of Japan. It's like an island part of Japan. That's where Master Ryuho was born. So there is a main temple in that near that location. So people would go visit there just to see where he was born, and there's a little tour you can take and see where he started off, because he started off in a very, very small, tiny village, and in southern part of Japan. It's like a way out of suburb, so it's nothing like Tokyo or Osaka. So that's how he started. That's where he started. So people will go there and you know, to see where he started off, and through that's part of this movie too. You know, it was showed in the movie his younger age and how he grew up in those small villages, and how he kept working hard and studying hard and endeavor hard, because he had this mission that he wanted to be part of the society and bring good to the society. So he jumped out of this small village in small island, and now he's a global person. So it's like going back to the origin, right?
Mm-hmm. In the context of Happy Science, is he the figurehead? Is he the one we are supposed to follow as Happy Science members?
Yes, definitely. Yes. He is the one who teaches the teachings, right?
I mean, obviously the founder.
Yeah, he's the founder. Yeah. Of course, there's a lot of head lecturers, I guess you will call them. There's, you know, head lecturers who studied his teachings and will be able to preach and will be able to teach, you know, what he's been teaching. But everything, you know, it's only been 35 years. So I guess, you know, the followers are still not at that level. I will probably never be at that level. But
right. One of the interesting things too that I find fascinating is the aspect of the writings. Now, the traditional, if you will, or more orthodox philosophies out there have their books, and I call them the ancient wisdom teachings. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to refer to Master Okawa's work as ancient wisdom, even though we both acknowledge that this wisdom is timeless. It's been basically, he's repackaging, so to speak, for a new generation, some of the same ideas that have been promoted for centuries. And it is more palatable, shall we say, because it's coming from someone from at least their era, if not their generation, their era today. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, and it's, I know that there are a lot of people that are concerned about different individuals, men and women, who take on this mantle. Okay. And they're asked to follow this individual. Mm-hmm. Is the personality of Master Okawa more important than the message? Is he a revered, holy person in that regard? Like in Christianity with Jesus, or in the Muslim faith with Muhammad, or in the Buddhist faith with Buddha.
Buddha, yes, we that's how we look at Master Okawa.
Okay.
Even though he's still alive, he's still preaching today. Mm-hmm. He's actually going to have the big lecture next week in Tokyo. Mm-hmm. So he's still very active today. So it's kind of difficult to I don't know how to put it together. I don't know. The history will tell, in other words.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a living history that I feel like I'm experiencing through. Mm-hmm. Just, you know, having be able to be in part of Happy Science and hear his lecture. That's a part of, you know, living history. So after he passes away, and maybe 30 years, 50 years, 100, 200, 300 years passes, and people probably start to see as a great figure in this that is descended on earth. That's how we believe. And some people might say, no, you guys are crazy, but that's how we are looking at it. And it proves by the things that he's been teaching. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, you know, he's brainwashing everybody and like, here I am. He's not like that at all. Right. Everybody just loves to read his books and listen to his lectures, and people kind of comes together naturally, you know, organically. That's how it all started, Happy Science. And it's probably going to continue on until next, I don't know, 30, 40 years or so.
Well, and certainly everybody has to make their own choice throughout their life, regardless. I have myself never found a single individual,
Mm-hmm.
past or present, that I wanted to quote unquote follow.
Sure, sure, sure.
I love the message
Mm-hmm.
that is being brought forth, that's being
Mm-hmm.
shared.
Yep.
You know, but it doesn't
Yep.
mean that I necessarily want to follow that person. And
Right, right.
sometimes
I
that,
understand what it.
yeah.
Yep.
And I think sometimes that the message gets lost in the personality sometimes. I'm not saying that that's the fault
Oh, I
of,
see.
I'm not saying that that's the fault of the
Mm-hmm.
founder of whatever the philosophy
Sure.
is, but it certainly isn't, it isn't helped by, say,
Mm-hmm.
hierarchies in the different
Right,
philosophy. It's
right,
like, I
right.
thought the message was the most important part
Mm-hmm.
of each one of these philosophies, that
Mm-hmm.
men and women will come and go on this planet,
Yeah,
you know, and you
I
know,
agree.
we want to share these different messages with
Yep.
people, because
Mm-hmm.
they are, to me, they're important. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
yes, that the Happy Science is just that. Website,
Yep.
is it a website, happyscience.org?
That's right. Yeah. If you want to go to Happy Science directly, it's happyscience.org. Yes.
All right, we want to
Again,
send people there.
you know, when you're talking about the message,
Mm-hmm.
Master Oko is message, because he doesn't come out and, you know, I don't know how to put. He'll only speak to through the message. In other words,
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't know. You know, I because I understand what he's trying to you know come across. So I'm trying to make sure that the people who listen to understand. That's why he's written over 2,700 books, and he's done over 3,000 lectures so far, because he's trying to bring out the message. You know, his
Mm-hmm.
lecture is about 1 hour, you know, minimum, but about 1 hour, and he talks about different things from all different angles, from religious aspect to healing to you know, prosperity, you know, to about love, and all about arts, all different angles and perspective, because he believes that now we have a diamond in ourselves, and sometimes it shines in different ways. The
Right.
light will shine from different angles. He's trying to put together the concept, the philosophy and teachings, where people will be able to be able to understand or be in touch, you know, through their interest. So that's what he's been doing the past 34 years, like almost every day. It's all about the message.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of books out there that you can read about him and about his teaching, and also what you interest you. You know, if you're interested in a certain thing, and if you go to, I mean, not in English maybe, because not everything is translated, but if you in Japanese, you will find what you're interested in about him talking about it. So it's the entry point, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true in just about every aspect of life. If you're looking for an answer, eventually it does come, and the guidance does come. We're talking today about Happy Science, and we're talking about a new movie that is now available for you, and we'll give you the locations, and of course, happyscience.org. Yoichi Utebi is my guest, and we're talking about a new movie, and the title of the movie is Twice Born, which
That's right.
implies that you're born once into this world as a human being. You come into this world as an infant, and that there is a second birth, if you will. Christians refer to it as being born again. These movies are predominantly about Master Okawa and his life and the teachings that he has brought forth. Give us a bit of a synopsis about Twice Born.
Sure. So this is a movie. It's a little bit different than the last movie. Last movie was called The Real Exorcist, which is more entertainment, and it's a girl, a supernatural girl, you know, fighting the evil and things like that. This is more towards more Happy Science way, I guess. So we have different types of movies, and this is it's a biopic actually of Riho Okawa. So it predicts from his young age when he was a boy, which is I kind of mentioned before, and how he grew up to become a university student, and he was living the path to a success. He was to become like the next president of one of the major trading company in Japan, to be. And he was trained to be like that. But one day he decided to abandon everything he had, all the success that ahead of him he had, and he decided to quit the work, drop everything, and he decided to pursue the road of establishing happy science. So this story will take you through his child age to becoming the happy science. So at the end, it kind of ends with the lecture where he stands in front of 50,000 people in Tokyo Dome, 1991, and that's how it actually happened. So by watching this movie, you get to understand the founder of Happy Science, Ryohoko, how the reason why he's here today and the reason why he's doing it now. So it's a biopic of him, but at the same time, it's not just about presenting who he is. That's one goal, is to present who he is to the world. But there's another aspect, is because it's a movie, there's a lot of messages that you can take back and you can learn, about yourself. So it kind of really deeply relates to about thinking about yourself and kind of reflect back on yourself by watching how he became who he is. That's what the beauty of biopic is all about, right? So,
right.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to be able to have a movie made of individuals who have lived in the past, in our past, and in this case, in our present,
He's still present.
who that help us to better visualize, if you will. And I think that's an important aspect to all of this. Certainly, there have been many movies that have been made of Jesus,
right,
down through history, down through our history, and one after another and that kind of thing. One of the things that I find so interesting, from my perspective, is the devotion that individuals have for the founder, for the main figure of, but also recognizing the message. Let's talk a little bit about that message of the happy science. What is or are the main pillar or pillars of the happy science? Or let me back that question up and ask, what is the main message of happy science?
Okay, sure. So it's about bringing happiness, finding science of happiness. Happy science is about science of happiness. So there's a universal law, for you to be able to find your true happiness. And it's universal. That means it applies to every individual. So it's not about where you were born, how you were born, which family and which country. Are you a woman or man? None of those things matters. It's all about how you look into yourself and find happiness within yourself. So Happy Science's main teaching is all the books that he writes about ends up, guiding you or make you think and be inspired how to bring happiness, through inside of yourself. It's about the mindset. It's about the wisdom that you learn to bring the feeling of happiness inside of you, and that would bring happiness to the people around you as well. So it's not like you have to be happy first, and not just internally. Again, we've been talking about again, it's a repeat, but more happy you become inside and more light you emulate, that energy would bring happiness to the people around you. And the energy of power of attraction, I guess, to bring happy energy, positive energy, and staying positive always, that would turn the cycle of life into positive ways. It's the wheel of fortune that will turn into a better way every day. So little by little, your life is going to turn into, it will become better step by step. And so at the end of the day, it's the way how to bring happiness from yourself, also to the outer world, bringing happiness to people around you as well, and also bring happiness in this your everyday life, living. So, and again, it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what you are, what occupation you have. If you are a doctor, are you happy? If you are, I don't know, a teacher, are you happy? It's not about what you are, right? But it's because some people, even how great and how wealthy you are, if you're not happy inside, if you're all greedy, always thinking about yourself and taking things from others, I'm sure deep inside, I wouldn't, we can't say this person is happy. This person might not realize he's not happy because he has all these things around him, but maybe he's very, very poorly hearted inside. And those are the things that we try to shine light into. So, I mean, usually there's a lot of sufferings in this world. Suffering comes together with life, right? Hardships comes with life, because life is we think it's a training ground of our soul.
Right.
If there's no difficulties in your life, you don't have to come down to earth from heaven to live here, because you can just stay up in heaven, and that's the most peaceful place. And you just gather together with the people who love each other, and you can live happily forever. But that just doing that is not gonna cultivate your soul. You need to cultivate your soul. So that's how this earth is here. So we are born here, and through our life, 50, 60, 80, 90, 100 years of life, there's a lot of difficulties and challenges that you face. But overcoming those things, you can train your soul, and you can shine your soul, and see how you did, were you able to be a person of love, even in the most difficult times. And people usually can't do that. But so there's a lot of guidance. It's a guidepost and guidance that would help you lead a better life, because we understand it. I understand. I definitely understand that life is not that easy, and it's difficult things to pursue. So we do need some kind of guidance. We that's why there's people seek for answers, because if everything was so easy, people would not seek for the answers and seek for something, right? Because there's something out there that's difficult for you. That's how you start to seek for the truth and answers. And it's a guidepost for the life, I guess.
If you've just joined us, we're talking with Yoichi Utebi, and we're talking about the happy science. We're also discussing the latest film put out by HS Productions, and that is called Twice Born. There's also, as you mentioned, The Exorcist was more entertainment. There was also The Immortal Man. How many films are presently out there prior to Twice Born that people could probably find online through happyscience.org?
In US, there's about maybe like 3 or 4, 4 or 5 maybe at this point. I mean, we have more in Japan, but we haven't really done much in US and in the multi-language. So, I mean, Real Exorcist is on VOD right now, and also Immortal Hero is in VOD. And Twice Born, we just finished the release in US. Under this COVID situation, we were able to do about 10 theaters in US, and we are coming out with VOD and DVD in January 2021, which is a couple months. So you get to watch this VOD.
Yeah, and thank you for correcting me. Immortal Hero. Immortal Hero.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the title of the film. Now, my wife and I enjoy watching a variety of different films on the various on-demand platforms that are out there. I cannot sit through. It's very difficult for me because of my, I don't read as fast as most, to watch a foreign film with subtitles. However, what they're doing is, and I think this is a wonderful thing, doesn't bother me in the least when they overdub English in a foreign film. And of course, what they have to do is literally change or bring in all of the sounds and the music and everything to put into the film, just as the foreign film in its original language has.
That's
Except that it's in English. So
In
they got to
English,
have the
yeah.
sound effects and all of those kinds of things. And I know there's a name for it. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But I really enjoy being able to watch foreign films when they have had that kind of treatment.
Sure.
Are there versions of these films that are available in that kind of format?
Of course, yes. It's called a voiceover version.
Voiceover version. Okay.
Yeah, of course we do. Yeah, so we do voiceover for every movie.
Oh,
So,
excellent. Yeah.
Especially when we do theatrical release, sometimes because of the time gap, it's release
Right.
first, so it takes time to do a voiceover. So,
Oh, yeah.
for example, for Twice Born, we did the subtitle in theater, but for the VOD, of course, we have we can choose. DVD, you can choose the subtitle. Because sometimes people do want to listen to original, and sometimes people tend to want to just watch it without reading the subtitles. So there's two different choices.
The only film that I was able to get through reading the subtitles, because they made them A, large enough, and B, they didn't come and go so quickly, was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Oh, okay.
That's the only film I've actually been able to sit through and really enjoy watching what was going on, and at the same time still being able to get the gist of the story. And that's really important in watching these kinds of films, because these productions, because if you can't, I mean, certainly you can get a lot from the actors, even if it is a foreign film in a language you don't understand. You can get sort of the intonation when someone's angry or sad or happy or joyful and so forth. But it's not quite the same when, when the dialogue just goes by so fast.
That's right. You have to read it. Right?
You got to read it. And it's like, okay, I got to pause and okay, let it go. And then it'll take you for an hour and a half film. It'll take you 3 days. But
yes, we totally understand. That's why we do voiceover.
But that's the beautiful thing about technology, is what's able to be done in this context of voiceover. And so I applaud you folks for doing that. And I look forward to being able to see these films in that format, because I am a curious individual. I want to get the context. And there's another aspect in terms of doing these voiceovers. Isn't there a real challenge in making sure that when you translate from Japanese, which I am assuming is the original language, that when it's going into not just English, but any other language, that the meaning is maintained?
Yep, that's very important, especially in Happy Science movies, because we'll be talking about the most important thing in Happy Science is message, right? So yes, it's called adaptation. So there's a professional person who would adapt. So we translate into English first as a subtitle. And through there, you have to fit the mouth, right? It's called mouse flip. So in order to fit the mouse flip, people's adaptation writer will start to change the language. So we go back and forth for like a week and 2 weeks, making sure to match the flip, but also it has exactly the same meaning as what we want to say in Japanese.
Right.
And sometimes people, if it's like an action movie, a cartoon for kids, excuse me, people might not care so much about the actual words we use, but for us, that's the most important thing. So we make them. We make them go crazy because we're just so concerned. No, you can't say that. No, you can't say that, because they'll say, no, it's the same meaning. We will say, no, it's not the same meaning. It's a different meaning. Right. After a while, they'll start to get it, because we are so concerned and so precise to the meaning.
Well, and I have to say that when I'm watching these films, and it's easy to tell, it doesn't bother me if the word that they're saying doesn't quite match the lips that are moving, because I know it's a foreign language film, and they're not pronouncing the words in the same fashion. So if and to me, that's not a distraction. But that's a real key. When I was producing audio for a Christian radio station, I would produce many of the programmers' message tapes. I would produce them in such a way as to make sure there was few distractions in the audio as I could, because whether I agreed with them or not, which was irrelevant, I wanted to make sure that whoever listened to it could hear it and take it in without distraction.
Right.
And
That's
then
important.
they could make up their own mind. And that's
That's right.
really the whole point, is
That's right.
allowing people to make up their own mind.
Yep.
So
So yeah, putting together the message and how to phrase it is, I mean, those guys are professional adaptators, so they do a great job. But even when we do recording, we'll switch it around right on the spot, because if you don't feel comfortable, we'll start rewriting it on the spot. So
right. Tell us about the impact that Happy Science had on you from the beginning. Now, you said, of course, you were born and raised a Christian, and you haven't left that philosophy. I would say, am I correct that you've added the Happy Science to your philosophy?
Yeah, added. Yeah, I guess it's right now it's everything, but yes, I added, definitely. Yeah, because I was raised in Lebanon, Beirut.
Oh, really?
So
Wow.
I was touched by Muslim culture. So when I see the Middle East, the terrorist thing and all this, how people look at the Middle East perspective, especially Western, culture, it's a little bit different than how I look at it. Because like, I know I was living in Lebanon, Beirut, so I traveled to Iran and Baghdad and all these countries around, and people are the nicest, actually. The people, the Muslim culture people are the nicest people in this world, because they accept all different religions, because Muhammad's teaching was based on Jesus' teaching, and Jesus' teaching was based on Moses' teaching, right? So the Jewish does not accept Christian, a Christian does not accept Islam, but Islam people accept Christian and also Jewish, because they were built upon those two religions. So they're so open-minded. It is so most kind-hearted people. So I think I have that kind of I don't know, trying to understand diversity in me. I think I acquired that kind of energy when I was living in Lebanon for the past for 5 years or so, up to second grade. So my experience living in Lebanon has tremendous impact on my life. And also there was the war, the conflict, right, in Lebanon. So we experienced battle. Actually, I experienced shooting, and we had to escape from Lebanon. The government shut down, so the company told us, get on the plane tomorrow morning and you have to fly out. So we left everything. We just get on plane. And so I've experienced a lot in Lebanon, Beirut. And that was the most beautiful place on earth. And the Mediterranean Sea, it was just so beautiful. But one day, tanks and all different armies started to get into even Lebanon and Beirut. And there was a battle started within the city of Beirut, so we had to escape. But so that experience is the foundation of myself. So I hate fighting. I can't fight with anybody. I just can't. That's in me, in my blood. And then I moved to New York when I was seventh grade. I was there for 10 years. And again, New York is another melting pot of different cultures, right? So there I had all different cultures, friends, from Italian to Jewish to Christian. Colors didn't matter to me. So I experienced a lot of different multicultural when I was young age, based on the experience I had in Lebanon. And I met Master Oka's teaching right after I graduated from high school in the United States. So at that time, until that point, I was Christian. So then I started teaching. Happy Science teaching is based on Buddhism, basically. It's a lot of Buddhism concept, especially when it was established in 1980s, late 80s. So that's when I was touched by teaching of Buddha. So I read a lot of books about Buddha, not just Happy Science teaching, but not Okariho teachings, but So I studied about who Buddha was. So I was touched by Buddhism. So if I look back to my life in the past, I just turned 50, so it's a 50. It's like half. I'm willing to live after 100. So I just passed my half century of my life, and looking back, and I realized I was touched by Islam culture and also Christian and also Buddhism. So those are the three major religions that the God has given us on this earth. So I was very lucky to be actually in touch directly by those cultures. So that's the foundation of who I am now. And after that, I met, so Happy Science is like on top of it. You just said like I added, but it's over me. So that's a little bit about myself, I guess.
And what about your family, your parents in particular? What was their reaction? Again, raising you Christian, as I'm sure they still are, and your taking on this, adding this, if you will, to your philosophy, your faith, your beliefs.
They don't care. They don't mind. They're open. My sisters, I have two sisters. They're also Christian, and I think what's important is like how I turn out to be. You know, parents would always look at their son and daughters. So how are they doing? They don't look at are they Christian or are they Muslim or are they Happy Science? They just look at it as a a son and daughter. So if the son and daughter goes into different direction and they're not the same as they used to be, they're gonna start to wonder: is it because of the religion that they involved? Is it the teaching that he's teaching that he's getting really weird and he's talking about different things and going in different direction? But I'm just the same me as I used to be when I was a kid, and nothing changes because Happy Science teachings will not change the personality of person. It just adds on to fulfill and enrich lives. So they're experiencing, they're looking at me as I'm a staff of Happy Science, and because being Happy Science staff, it didn't change me anything. It just made me better. I'm a better person than I used to be. So they're happy. So they accept who I am as who I am. They accept Happy Science, but they have their own religion. So I'm not going to push them. I'm not going to say you have to become Happy Science. No, we still love each other, and that's fine. And they accept me, and I accept them. That's how we are since then. And it still is. It will be.
Yeah. If only we all could do that. We've here in the United States, we've got some serious issues that we've got to work through in that regard, both religiously or philosophically, as well as politically.
Politically, definitely.
And it's really sad. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Families that literally have been torn apart over these kinds of issues, and it's like, well, wait, what is really important to you? What is it that's of paramount importance to you?
Right.
Because it's like when my sister and I had a conversation, and we were sharing our political perspectives, and we both tend to lean in the same direction. And she says, it's really sad that you and your brother, you both come from such opposite sides of the, in essence, as I see it, the same coin. And I says, well, you can be sad if you want, but the reality is he has a right to his philosophy. He has a right to his beliefs, his political views, and he will always be my brother. It doesn't matter who he supports or what philosophy or what politics. None of that matters. He's my brother.
That's right.
He's part of my flesh and blood, as it were, from my parents. And that's what's of paramount importance more than any of that, because the rest of that stuff is gonna go away. Let's talk a little, because you brought up the word, so I want to talk about this a little bit as we continue our conversation with Yoichi Utebi, and the happyscience.org website. We encourage you to go to check out the film Twice Born about Master Okawa. What about the topic and the subject of reincarnation? Now, you say it's something that you do believe in. Is that something that is taught in Happy Science, or is it something you have always felt was a valid part?
Well, I always felt that, you know, when I was, since I was a kid, I was kind of spiritual as well. So I knew there was something more than what you can see. I knew that. But happy science is one of the main teaching is about teaching about the spiritual world. So
Mhm.
Masaoka's main pillar of teaching is about teaching that life does not end, does not begin here and end on this life. It continues on, and
Mhm.
he tries to reveal the truth about the dimension. You know, after you die, how what happens? It's called the thing called the silver cord. It cuts off, and out of body experiences, all these things, right? I'm sure you've heard about that. So
Mhm.
after you die, you become a spirit, and the spirit does not disappear. You are you, exactly who you are, and you go back to heaven or hell sometimes, you know, depending on the deeds and the thoughts that you had in the life you're living here, and the life continues on. So he reveals all the secret about what happens after you die, or the dimensions of the spiritual realms. We call them spiritual realms, and there's the dimensions of realms, and so the structure of the spiritual world. So that's like a dynamic in the, the huge new teachings. In other words, the teachings that's been taught in the past is kind of put together into a very nice context, and it's been it presented in a way that's very scientific. I mean,
Mm.
it might sound a little
Mhm.
strange, but because I'm talking
Yeah,
about spiritual word, but
sure.
scientifically put together, very rationally, practically put together how the structure is structured, and that's the basic of his teaching. And without knowing, understanding that, it's kind of difficult to attain the true happiness,
Yeah.
because you have to know where you were born, you came from, and where you're going. Without knowing that, it's you only know the life that exists on this earth. But if you know there's more beyond it, and before and after, then that's when you really get to understand the true purpose of your life, and why you're here, and why you're doing this now, and where you want to go from here on, because life does not end after you finish your life. It continues on. So if you think in that perspective, I don't think you want to live a life that is all selfish and greedy, because if you know it's going to continue on, you know, you want
Yeah.
to be a person that is good for the society. So that's really basic backbone actually about the
Mm.
spirituality of happy sciences.
Let's talk about these different dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
There are those who do believe in some
Mm-hmm.
kind of afterlife punishment area,
Mm-hmm.
as well as a midpoint between the two.
Yep.
They in the Catholicism they call it
Sure.
purgatory,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course an afterlife spent in bliss and in joy. They call it heaven.
Right.
And yet, there are those who also believe that we create for ourselves in the next life,
Mm-hmm.
or in the afterlife, if you will. Again,
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging that it's nothing more than a continuation. All we're doing is changing vehicles.
Right.
But there's
Right.
a space between getting rid of the old vehicle and getting the new one and getting the new
Mm-hmm.
keys to the car, that that
Exactly.
we spend time somewhere.
That's
And
right.
and then of course there are others who believe that when one leaves the body, it's
Mm-hmm.
lights out. Well, if that were true, you'd never know, because
That's right.
lights out.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
However, my logical brain tells me that doesn't make
Mm-hmm.
any sense.
Right.
It's
Right.
illogical to think that there's nothing after this,
That's
with
right.
everything that we go through in
Mm-hmm.
this life,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Yep.
processes and the people that we come across and the
That's right.
events, the
Yep.
experiences. So, uh, are there places where
Mm-hmm.
different, and I'm going to use the term individuals rather than
Mm-hmm.
entities,
Okay.
where different individuals will, let's use the analogy of a high rise,
Mm-hmm.
and it's infinitely high. And so maybe at the end of this particular lifetime as a human, I'm going to go to the 75th floor. and I'm going to spend some time there, and then I will get on whatever it is, and I'll come into this lifetime again, this human existence again, and live another life. And at the end of that life, I'll go to the 83rd floor, and so on and so on.
Right.
And there is no end to it.
Right.
Because the number of floors in this building is, as I said, are infinite.
Infinite, that's right.
But is the whole process, regardless of what floor we go to, is it just about learning? Is it just about experiencing, as many people say?
Yeah. So again, we are all child of God, the Buddha, and child of universe. So ultimate God is probably the highest, right? Which is infinite, right? We will never know about that, but it's infinite. It's primordial Buddha, I guess we call him. And when we leave body in happy science, what we've been taught is about it's about for me like a month or so, 1 month or so, 21 day or 30 days, you would be able to wander around, as a spirit. After you go out of the body, you have to say thank you to your family, goodbye to your friends, and after a while, there's a lot of attachment. Right? I'm sure people have if you know exactly, like if you know the teaching of Master Okawa, if you study for long, you probably, like after you die, you probably know, okay, this is what's happening, so I'm ready to go. But if people don't know anything about it, they're gonna get so confused, right? What I thought I'm dead, but I'm still alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My body is like here, but I'm still alive. Oh my God, what's going on? So they're gonna get confused. So there's about 30 days or so of trying to figure out, understand what's going on, and saying thank you to your family and goodbye. Then, of course, the guiding angels and the people from heaven will be there to guide you through. And after 30 days or so, you're going to have to say goodbye to this world. See you, and come back to you again. Of course, they can come back again anytime, but they're going to say, you can't stay here for the rest of your life, and because you already finished your life. So eventually, you're going to have to go back to heaven. And if you go back to heaven, there's the river of Styx. I guess, is that what they call in US? River of Styx. You have to cross over this huge river. And it's called River of Styx. And once you cross over the river, like that's the end of this life. Okay. Then there you just talking about, you mentioned there's a place you go there. It's like a judgmental place. You're going to be judged by these figures or the spirits and angels. So how did you do in your life in the 60, 80 years? And you're gonna be shown like a screen of your life. You're gonna have to watch a movie biopic of your life when you're born till you die, and all your relatives and your families, all your past friends are gonna be there. Watch the people who are actually died before, the audience watching your life in the screen, for example. I mean, it's just a metaphor, but then you're gonna watch your life, and then you're gonna know, was it a good life or bad life? Not just for yourself, but for the others. Were you be able to, was it a positive life or negative life, right? And if it's a positive life, then you go back to heavenly world. And if it was a negative life, that you did harm other people and it wasn't a good life for you, then you judge by yourself. Okay, oh, I cannot go back to where I came from, so I have to go do a little extra soul training. And sometimes people call it a hellrium, and there's different types of hell, I guess. And you self-reflect there for I don't know how long, and when you realize that what you've done is wrong, then you kind of go back to where you originally came from. So the floor you're talking about is usually you are living in a certain floor, right? 5th dimension, 6th dimension, 7th dimension, 8th, 9th dimension. Those are dimensions we usually talk about. This is the 3rd dimension we're living on. And let's say you were born from 6th dimension. So you go back to where you originally came from, and you relearn about, so you forget about all the life that you're living in heaven, right? So you kind of remember back again restudy, I guess, about, and you start to remember all these things that or the life, the past life, and all the who you really are, and the experience that you experienced, the 50, 60, 80 years, the life you just experienced will be added on to your experience as your true soul, your true self. So that's why the experience on this life is very important, because it's not meaningless. It is a lot of meaning to it. And you reflect upon what you've done and what is it that I could have done better. And you would be living there for, I don't know how many years, 300 years, 500 years. And when you're ready to come back again for another soul training, and you decide where you want to born, how you want to be born, which family, which are you going to have, who the parents are going to be, you're going to go decide all yourself. And usually the parents are people who you're connected, together in the same village. That's why your soul, your brothers and your families are always, you feel like you know each other for a long time, because you really do up in heaven. You decide, sometimes your mother used to be your child, could be, right? And your sister maybe was your mother, or I don't know, but
right. Everybody has different roles. Yeah,
you make a different role, and sometimes you can be born as a woman or a man. You can choose the gender as well. So there's an issue about the LGBT and transgender issue right now, right? The reason is because the soul, maybe the past life was the person who is a man thinks or feels that he's a woman from very bottom of their heart. Is because the past life, maybe he was born as a woman. He still remembers the memory of being a woman. So the soul maybe was getting a little confused. Either he's a man or woman. So that's one of the reasons I think sometimes LGBT, things that are happening in this world. So there's a reason for that too as well.
Do you think that that's something that needs to be addressed to help them to not be confused? And again, I'm not saying that from the standpoint that these people need to be fixed. Okay, that's not where I'm coming from. But the way you've described it, they have tapped into a previous lifetime as the other sex. Okay. And what have you, whatever the experiences were, that were so profound, that were so strong.
That's right.
That that's why they feel like they're in the wrong body.
That's right. They feel like they're in the wrong body.
Okay. And so they will actually go through the process through many years of not only struggle, but then in some instances they'll even go through the process of physically altering their physical bodies.
That's right.
To match how they feel.
Yeah.
Now,
exactly.
From the standpoint of happy science, is there a problem with that?
These
people need to be fixed, or whatever the term is?
Touchy and difficult topic here. I'm sorry,
yes, I know,
but it's kind of important. So for the people who feel like that, what I would tell them is first, you need to understand that you chose to be a woman or man this life on your own. It's not like, God or your mentor in heaven said, okay, today, this time you're going to have to become a man because you had the women for the past 1,000 years. Try a new gender. Go ahead and try. No, it's not like that. You chose to be a man or woman. So it was your choice. Okay, that doesn't mean you cannot be that's a very difficult situation there, because people who are a man feel so strongly that they're women inside, because it's true. It's not there's nothing wrong with it because it's so true. But at the same time, we have to kind of try to give the message out,
right.
That you this is what's happening. That's the reality of the life. And you chose to be a man this time. So
right.
maybe what I would advise would be to try to be a man because you chose to be a man. But I understand you feel like you're a woman because your past life or your you have such a strong feeling about being a woman. So that would kind of trigger this person, hopefully, to think about it. So not knowing it or knowing it, it's going to be
Right.
different. So if they don't accept it, they're going to say, oh, you are crazy, go away, happy sex, go away. Then hey, there's nothing I can do. But if they realize or they even think about it, you know, what Yoichi is saying might be true, let me think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then that will give a different perspective and different light to the life of the person. And at the end of the day, if this person decides, no, I understand that, but I still I feel so strong that I feel like I'm gonna be gay and I'm gonna live my life as a gay person. There's nothing wrong with it. There's a lot of gay members in Happy Science, right? That doesn't mean we don't say no, right? We're open to it, but we just try to make sure that we all understand each other.
And that's really what you're talking about. It's understanding.
Yeah.
It's just and helping people to understand. So changing, shall we say, midstream. There's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of people, though they have these conflicting feelings, they don't understand why they're having these conflicting feelings.
Right, that's the point. Right, they struggle through it because they felt that when they were when they were like in I don't know, elementary school. Some people feel like that when they were very, very young, and they get so confused through their life, and they have nobody to talk to. But then again, they find their similar people, and they understand each other. So you know, of course, they're gonna create the groups, and they try to understand each other. But so it's a difficult situation, subject to discuss about. Sure. But again, you know, changing the gender while between, we would not recommend it.
No, I understand.
That's something I mean, hopefully, I wish I could make people understand you chose your life and you try to live your life that way. And if they accept it and they feel fine with it, that's great. But if they don't, then we have we have freedom of choices. So
right, exactly.
That doesn't mean they are going to go to hell. No way. Not a human anymore. No, we don't.
Exactly.
Never.
Yoichi Utebi is my guest. We're talking about the Happy Science. We're also talking about the movie that is just released called Twice Born. And it, of course, is about Master Okawa and his life. And I'm sure there'll be many more films that will be coming out in the not too distant future. And I will be looking for the ones with the voiceover in English so that I can truly enjoy them and follow along and hopefully maybe even be inspired by them as well. And we appreciate the time that you have given us here on this program.
I'll send you the free link when the voiceover is ready so you can watch it.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Also, I just want to say there's another website. It's called twicebornmovie.com. Twicebornmovie.com. You go there, you get to see all the trailers, all the synopsis, and when the DVDs are coming, and some reference books of Ryuho Okawa that's kind of related to this movie. So if you want to kind of watch the movie, if you're interested, Happy Science, you can check out some of the books that we recommend.
Yeah. You know, what's really fascinating to me are the different languages on this planet. And when I listen to certain languages, there are some that I have no problem listening. I may not understand one word you're saying, but I can listen to it because it's calming, it's gentle, no matter in some instances, even if you're angry, it's still the way that the words are. And I'll tell you the greatest example of that is, to me, the biggest difference between Japanese and Chinese. And that Japanese is such a soft language when I hear it, no matter what you're saying in Japanese. Okay. And it could be the harshest thing in the world that you're saying. I would never know. But in Chinese, the way that they speak is so harsh and cutting, and it's just depending upon the dialects of the diverse uh, dialects of, for example, Russian or Arabic languages. I'm curious also, you lived in Lebanon for a number of years. Did
Mm-hmm.
you ever pick up any of the language in that country?
No.
No.
I was too young. I was too young. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Mm.
But I just find that fascinating in terms of being an observer. And of course, even with English, it can be very harsh. German is a very, this is just my observation,
Mm-hmm.
is very harsh to listen
Oh,
to. French, very easy
yeah,
to listen to.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it
You
is.
know,
Yeah.
so those are the kind of comparisons that I have, not
Mm-hmm.
to mention the written versions of these different languages. I mean, Asian languages predominantly, if I'm correct, they're mostly, I mean, English is characters too, but they're not individual letters and numbers
Mm-hmm.
in the traditional sense. Each
Right.
one of these symbols with all of these
Right.
lines in it has a meaning.
Right. That itself has a meaning. Yeah.
Oh, it's
Mm-hmm.
fascinating that
It
we've
is.
actually found a way where we're actually able to communicate,
It is.
maybe because of, if not in spite of, these
Mm-hmm.
differences. But it's some of these languages written are so beautiful. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
how did these come about? And there have been, and I'm curious about Happy Science, if there's been any writing from Master Okawa about this. If this sort of explains the fact that we are not indigenous to this planet, and that each of the different languages and peoples thereof come from different planets in the
Mm-hmm.
universe, and that
Oh.
we were
Mm-hmm.
all planted here. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the conversations I had with one of my guests. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about that very thing, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what their philosophy was.
Mm-hmm.
We're all from different parts of the universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Happy Science also being Master Oka has been revealing about the space universe, not just this three-dimensional planet thing, but it's going beyond into space world as well. He's been talking about it maybe for the past I don't know 5-10 years or so, and because if you really think about it, there's a planet called Earth,
Mhm.
right? And there's a moon and the sun, and it's infinite universe that we're living in. Like, can you believe we are the only living thing on this entire universe? That's the question. Like, I just can't believe it.
Yeah.
If there's people like us here, I'm sure there are people like us, or maybe different people like us somewhere out in the space, right? I mean, that's something I never doubted since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I still don't. So when Master Oka started talking about space people, I kind of didn't feel any wow. What is he talking about? I was like, of course, there's different entities in this world, in this space. I watched a lot of UFOs since I was a kid. I've seen a lot of UFOs, so I never doubted about the UFOs and things like that. So yeah, we did. There's a lot of messages and books about space people and how he sees the space people and how they are intervening with the Earth, and how some of these groups flew in from the different galaxies to create this Earth, a beautiful planet called Earth. Love, the beautiful planet of love called Earth. That's what we say here.
Yeah. It is truly extraordinary. And it is also a great message to us all that if indeed it were intended for each one of us to, all 8 billion, almost 8 billion of us, to occupy individual planets, I'm sure there are enough Class M planets, livable planets, for each one of us to occupy one of them. All right, each one of us. However, the reality is we're all here.
That's right.
And that tells me we're all here because we're all here to find a way to get along with one another.
Exactly.
And the key that you spoke of earlier, all right, is understanding. We don't just want to hear each other. We need to truly listen. We need to truly listen. And I hope that people will take to heart that message that you've talked about when we were discussing the gender issue in the same context. try to understand, try to truly understand. It is not a question that you must accept them and their philosophy, but try to understand it.
Right.
I understand that, for example, I've never been in debating. I've never been on a debating team or in debating class or that kind of thing. But I have heard it said that to make you a great debater, you will participate in many debates with your classmates. And in some instances, you will take a position that is completely contrary to your own personal position, and that you have to defend the opposite side of that position to truly become a good debater. You have to learn to understand the other side. Doesn't mean you will adopt that philosophy or that position, but you understand it.
Yeah, that's what lawyers do.
That's what what lawyers are supposed to do. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I don't know if there's enough time, but one thing I just want to mention about the understanding each other is about, if you look at it from space people's point of view, let's say this one person came from the place, like from the reptilian place. They always eat each other, fight each other, but the stronger ones are the better, right? So the strong, the power, that's the land, okay? And if you're from Previous, where no, you don't need to be strong, but you just need to be beautiful and giving love, and beauty is the most important thing in your life. If those two different species come together on Earth, of course they're going to be so different, because one is, no, we need to be beautiful. Another one is, no, you have to be strong, so I'm going to eat you, right? We have to understand each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's the beauty of planet Earth, I think.
I think you're right. I absolutely do. Happyscience.org is the website, and we could use more of that in our world today. And one final thing I'll say is, one of our documents here in the United States, we have the right to pursue happiness. Well, here's a way for you to pursue it. Go to happyscience.org, as well as twicebornmovie.com. and find out more about this movie and the other films that are available as well. And they are available in the voiceover versions for English and other languages. So check that out. And I want to thank you, Yoichi Utebi, for joining me here on the program. It's been a great pleasure. I thank you so much for giving us so much time.
We have another movie coming up in May, so I'm going to come back here again, right?
Oh, you are? Yes, absolutely. Because we want to let people know about it. I mean, I'm not a proselytizer of the Happy Science, but I enjoy having you on the program.
I enjoy talking to you too. You're so open-minded.
Well, thank you.
How open you are.
It's one of the things that some people would probably disagree a little bit because of my own personal pet peeves. I heard a piece yesterday on pet peeves that you want to keep them to yourselves, especially in this era right now, because some people won't understand. But if you can just kind of blow off steam a little bit about some of them, so much the better. And we all have them. But what we have is a wrap up of our program. And to that end, I'm going to let our listeners know, before I ask you 3 final questions, if I may. Our listeners need to know, you need to know, folks, that we're here Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., streaming live at richarddugan.com with podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, many other locations you folks are reposting us to. We're now on YouTube, so you can watch these interviews, these videos now, with produced fronts and backs and all that kind of good stuff. The information about the website will be there as well. And we certainly hope that you will take advantage of that and subscribe too. We'd love to have you subscribe so that every time a new video is put up, you're going to find out about it, and you'll be able to watch that as well. Also, if you'd like to support the work that we are doing here on the program, you like the programming, the guests, the conversation, and you'd like to be a part of it financially, we have a PayPal account for your security as well as ours, and any amount is always welcome. We really do appreciate those who have helped and those who will help. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll even take energetic support as well. And also, please participate in the Decade of Perfect Vision, the 2020s, the Decade of Perfect Vision. Spend some time going within, contemplating who you really are, getting to know you. That's another person that we need to understand is us as an individual. So spend that time quietly meditating. If it's praying, if it's just pondering something that happened to you, don't dwell on it, but maybe just ponder it, observe it. Don't judge it. Observe. There's a big difference. You'll get insight, you'll get information. Listen to that still small voice. We hope that you will spend time doing that. It's one area we didn't get into. We'll have to save that for another time. Yoichi is intuition and that still small voice. And we'll talk about that the next time we get together for the next film.
Sounds good.
So let me ask you, I've asked you, I think before, and I sometimes the answers change. Who is Yoichi Utebi?
Who am I? I'm again, I'll probably be a different answer the last time. I'm a child of the universe. I'm a child of God. And all I want to do is bring small happiness to the world. I just want to be a little candle that's lit. I might not be able to light candle to thousands and millions of people, but I wish I could light a candle to a person who's sitting next to me. That's who I am.
What is it that you hope to or want to achieve through the work that you are doing now?
Again, I already answered the question, but
okay.
I just want to be somebody. I know I'm just another person, so I just want to be a person who can share happiness and try to bring happiness and hopefully guide people to Masaoka, because he would bring more happiness to your life. So.
And at the risk of being redundant, what is your life's purpose?
My life, okay, so yeah, my life is purpose. I think I should think of it different. My life purpose is to bring happiness to people as much as possible. Yeah.
Yoichi, I thank you. Yes, I thank you so much. This has been a pleasure, and we will have you back again to talk more, talk about the new film. And many blessings to you and to you. Thank you for listening to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. We are giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. And until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast, love to lol.